Joining me now from Plano, Texas, Special Counsel for Litigation and Communications for First Liberty, Jeremy Dys. Jeremy, constitutional rights are being crushed. And, we can argue all day whether it's warranted or not, but the bottom line is that's effectively what's going on here. Colorado, some dad goes out and he plays t-ball with his son in an empty park and he's facing arrest. You've got California, where surfers are trying to get some fresh air and exercise. They're arrested or ticketed. People watching the sunset in California. Michigan, you go outside, you're going to face a fine. Some parts of California now, it's mandatory to wear a mask. Here's the problem. We can equate this to what happened, the pandemic in 1918, Spanish flu. But back then, there wasn't a Marxist socialist running for president. We know Bernie Sanders dropped out. Big deal. His agenda remains. And this is the difference between then and now, and I'm worried.
Well, look, I think Americans are very tolerant people and are willing to put up with a lot of things, and including having to stay in their homes or at least socially distant from everybody else for a period of time. But that patience is going to wear thin in the face of further threats like Mayor de Blasio made a couple of days ago, saying that he may permanently shut down houses of worship if they don't comply with his directives. You've got other situations in places like Virginia and Louisville, Kentucky, and California, even right now, where you've got mayors and governors saying that they may take further action against churches who are complying with CDC guidelines by providing drive-in church opportunities where people come in with their cars, park in the parking lot, and listen to a sermon with the windows rolled up, 6 feet apart, and all that. These kinds of creative means of trying to maintain a sense of normalcy and freedom ought to be applauded and not punished by the government here. And at the same time, I think what we're seeing around the country are leaders, faith leaders, houses of worship are trying their very best to maintain that sense of community and are acting very prudently in the face of many significant challenges to their religious liberty.
Yeah, they're being American, effectively. They're trying to exercise their constitutional, God-given rights. You wrote something though, in the Washington Examiner, frankly, kind of stunned me. I will read it to you because you wrote it. Evenly applied restrictions on gathering may be permissible under the governing First Amendment jurisprudence. Government may not substantially burden the free exercise of religion unless it has a compelling reason to do so. I would argue that this is not equal protection, that it's not being equally applied. For example, atheists are, technically, even though they want to admit it, it's a religion, yet they don't necessarily gather like Jews do in synagogue. That's number one. But maybe more importantly, what is the compelling reason? See, this is the problem, Jeremy. It's up to Andrew Cuomo and up to Gavin Newsom to tell me and to tell you what, quote, the compelling reason is, and that's where I have a problem.
Yeah, it's difficult to navigate right now, but look, as we've said in our guidance that you can find at firstliberty.org, that a temporary restriction like this is going to probably be upheld. Why? Because a worldwide pandemic clearly constitutes a compelling justification. I don't think there's any court in the nation that would disagree with that for now. But the important thing to keep in mind while we're talking about that is that that has to be a temporary restriction and it has to be evenly applied. And so to single out churches or other houses of worship for different treatment than a movie theater or Walmart or McDonald's or whatever it might be, well, that's just plain wrong. And we've taken action on that repeatedly in the last week or two, where you've had cities here that are saying you can't have more than 10 staff members create an online church service, but it's perfectly fine for a local news station to have 15 or 20 people providing the evening news. Well, there's functionally no difference, at least in the eyes of the virus, between a news theater and a church service here. And so it makes no sense to have such arbitrary complications. And thankfully, when we're pointing these things out, city councils and county commissions seem to be understanding their mistakes and retreating from them. But it's important that we understand that not only can we trust the government to some degree to help us out with the public health aspects, they need also to trust the churches and our other houses of worship in this country to provide the calm, the comfort, and the care that they uniquely provide and lighten that socioeconomic burden that is so critical within our society today that charitable organizations and faith-based entities provide.
We need them now more than ever, could be argued. I just believe in this country we can walk and chew gum at the same time. In other words, we can exercise our God-given liberty and we can fight the Wuhan coronavirus, because I firmly believe that once liberty is lost, X amount, and taken away by Gavin Newsom or Andrew Cuomo, once it's taken away, X amount will never return. That's what scares me. Jeremy, thank you.
Want to see more videos like this? Click on the link below and subscribe to One America News on YouTube, and call your cable provider and kindly demand that One America News is added to your lineup. Call and subscribe today.